The story of Uncle Remus and Joel Chandler Harris began in Eatonton, but the writing took place in Atlanta at the Wren's Nest, where Harris wrote for Henry W. Grady's Atlanta Constitution.
There was a column that was a humor column at the Atlanta Constitution called the Uncle Si column. And Uncle Si was the protagonist, but he was also sort of the butt of all the jokes. And the writer of the Uncle Si column fell ill, and they asked Harris, who had made a name for himself as basically a funny guy, to come over and take over the Uncle Si column. And so Harris did, but he basically just dropped the Uncle Si character and then began introducing Brer Rabbit and the stories that he'd learned in his youth.
Harris's newspaper stories were wildly popular, and when he collected them into book form, became internationally known.
Theodore Roosevelt was a huge fan, and he called Harris's writing the best contribution to literature this side of the ocean. Harris refused an invitation to go meet the president. He liked to stay home. The president ended up dropping in, and they became longtime friends. And when the house became a museum, it actually was Theodore Roosevelt who did the keynote address at the fundraising dinner.
The home, called the Wren's Nest, is located in Atlanta's historic West End neighborhood. So if you're wondering how the Joel Chandler Harris home became known as the Wren's Nest, you may want to ask the mailman. You see, back around the year 1900, a few Wrens decided to make a nest out of the Harris mailbox. Well, when the kids came out and saw this, they didn't want to get rid of the Wren, so instead, they just built another mailbox. Well, I'm sorry to inform you that the Wrens are no longer around, but the name the Wren's Nest for the home lives on. And let's see if there's mail today, or Wrens? No?
Harris was a homebody. He never really got over the shyness that sort of developed in his youth, and so he preferred to do the majority of his writing on the front porch. He set up a rocking chair, set up a table, had his typewriter, and basically did a lot of his work in what was then a very quiet, cozy suburb.
Soon after Harris's death in 1908, and with the support of Andrew Carnegie and Theodore Roosevelt, the Wren's Nest became a museum. All of the furnishings and artifacts are the actual possessions of Joel Chandler Harris and his family. The public is invited to visit for tours, but in the tradition of the Uncle Remus critter stories, the most popular draw is the storytelling.
Brer Rabbit stopped in front of the step, his knees just knocked. I'm not going up there. When the bear got behind Brer Rabbit, gave him a kick. Bam! He went flying. Wow! He hit the court. Bam! 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 The lion came out and said,
We have about 5 storytellers who come and perform the Brer Rabbit stories for audiences.
Long come the wolf. He walk up beside his house of stone and he smell. What did he say? I say a good old country wolf over here somewhere.
Children don't usually see this type of entertainment, and when they do, they're riveted.
Along with being a great writer and storyteller, Harris was a progressive in an era of change in the South.
He believed that education, equal education, was the solution to the social problem, and that's evident in his bedroom. He has commissioned 4 paintings of small African-American children learning to read, write, and spell. He also housed friends here during the race riots in 1906. So it's important that he held those, at that time, very progressive views, as did Henry W. Grady, because they were basically the voices of the New South.
In recent years, the legacy of the Uncle Remus stories and Joel Chandler Harris has been tarnished. Critics deride stereotypes present in Harris's writing, but linguists and literary historians appreciate the stories and language that Harris helped to preserve.
He wrote them as he heard them, basically preserved that authenticity. Preservationists and linguists are like, thank goodness someone did this, because it's really the only example of that happening. No matter how you swing it, it's hard to say that that's not important.
So whether you find yourself in Eatonton or Atlanta, you can learn a little about some of Georgia's most beloved little critters and their famous author, Joel Chandler Harris.